press start streaming. You tell me whenever we're live, David, and I'll just take it from there.
We're on.
Hey, everybody. If you're watching right now, it is 8:30 UK time, 9:30 European time, and we're about to go through Kuurne-Brussels-Kuurne. But on the screen, you're seeing Omloop Newsbad's results. David, can we just take a second and bow down to the almighty Mole? I mean, if you're on Team Mole today was a good day. If you're a rugby fan from Scotland, today was a good day. David, how are you feeling right now?
I've got a glass of something bubbly for Michael, so I'm feeling good.
Wait, so I'm pretty sure I'm not quite sure if this was actually in the live stream or in the pre-chat, but you were trying to chat him up and like, if you win, champagne, beer. Have you wired the funds for set champagne?
No, I think his team can definitely pay for that.
Well, actually, that's probably the one team that couldn't, David.
Yeah, I tweeted that last night as well. I think the story broke and they were saying the riders hadn't been paid, and that's just not true. I mean, the riders have been paid. Now, then a subsequent story came out to say that it's because they're using their the Astana savings, blah blah blah. But no, the initial story was wrong. They have been paid, and after the season they've had to start with, I don't think there'll be a problem with the government funding them.
I don't even think, why should we care? That's an internal issue. Like, that is for them to figure out. Like, Astana's been on fire, Luis Leon Sanchez, now Valgren. They had 3 riders in the front. Honestly, either Valgren, Gato, or Litsenko, whoever it was who attacked, at the point Valgren attacked, would have won Omloop. But David, just quickly, because these two races, Kuurne-Brussels-Kuurne and Omloop, they're so closely together, one affects the other. What did you take away from Omloop as your main concerns or your main point of views in the race?
Main points of view, Tim Wellens was ridiculously strong, but his inexperience of racing in that type of race really showed. He was attacking far too far out. Gilbert did a couple of pretend attacks. You know, they weren't real kind of full gas stuff. So Wellens looked really strong, but needs to be tactically better. TJ Benoot was brilliant, just awesome, so strong, but when he attacked, unfortunately nobody could follow, and he didn't get the quick step rider going with him or like a BMC rider, so his move was doomed. Colbrelli was really good. We didn't actually see we saw Matthews lying on the ground, the crash just before they hit the moor, which really kind of knocked a few riders back. So Stuyven, he was delayed by the crash. He said he was kind of basically standing still for 10 seconds and he couldn't get back in. I think Colbrelli was also slightly delayed. You see him frantically trying to make up places just before they hit the climb. What else can we say? I think we're in for a fairly spectacular year. We now seem to have a group of riders who are just underneath kind of Sagan, Van Avermaet. We all know Sagan, Van Avermaet are the kind of top of the tree. And then you had a fairly sizable gap to the rest of the riders. Now I think a lot of these riders are closing that gap, which is fantastic for us as fans to watch. So you will have Nason, who looked so strong today.
Can I take a second, David? I saw Euro Hoodie. You know Euro Hoodie on Twitter, the reporter who was also featured in the Armstrong movie. He said, "Is this going to be Oliver Nason's breakout year?" And I literally was so angry. I was on the phone like, "Have you not been following this dude for the last 2 years? What are you smoking?"
Yeah, when you're in the final 3 of Flanders and then get hit by a crash, I mean, yeah, not breakout. Breakout was last year. Kind of step up to top level this year. So, like Nason, you can see already he's made that step forward again. Stuyven, I'm fairly sure, is making steps forward. Valgren has made the step forward. Benoot is making the step forward. Edward Toons is making the step forward. Lutsenko, you know, we are now at a stage where we no longer have a top tier of 2 riders. We are at a stage where we've got a top tier of 10 riders, and that makes for fairly outstanding racing.
Are you ready, David? I filmed myself watching the Valgren attack earlier today. If you didn't know, David and Team Mole had some money on Valgren today, and for me it was quite a lot of money, and I was watching. I literally just walked in the door from a ride. I don't know if you can see it. It'll be in the video over on YouTube later tomorrow morning. But I'm literally jumping and dancing because anyone with a bit of cycling knowledge would know that move stuck. Like that move, as soon as you get 10 seconds, 5 seconds in that scenario, you're gone. Nobody's gonna catch you down. So super cool call, David, and also super cool to have him on the preview yesterday. Like he didn't speak himself up at all. What do you make of that?
He's a modest guy. I mean, it's unusual. The riders who we've had on the previews in the past, only one has kind of had that confidence / arrogance to discuss himself, and that was Nason. Nason's the only one who's had the confidence to say, yeah, I'm favourite. You know, he has the swagger. The rest of them are a bit more kind of, humble's the wrong word, makes all of us sound like an idiot, but you know, they're a bit more kind of reserved about their own chances. Michael knew that he was coming into the race strong. He knew he'd raced a kind of strong block in Andalucia. He was confident about his form, but yeah, he didn't put himself up there as the big favourite. Neither did I, to be fair. I didn't put him up there as a big favourite, and I think the victory, as much as it is his, it belongs to the team, because having the 3 riders in the front group, that sealed the win. They still had to race clever, because we've seen teams throw that away. And when Valgren attacked, the key move for me was Lutsenko, who covered Trentin's move, and then Trentin gives up, and that's it. He's won. So Gatto, I think Gatto is the big surprise. He's almost like your MVP for the race, and Lutsenko was so strong. So taking him away from the race, we have a large number of riders who are right at the top of their game, which makes me rather excited for the rest of this season.
Tomorrow, Kuurne-Brussels-Kuurne. It's in a, like, to me, this is almost a more unpredictable race than Omloop, because literally anything can happen. We've seen Jasper Stuyven win from a solo breakaway. We've seen Peter Sagan win from a select group with Stuyven second. We've seen Tom Boonen win sprints in the past. Kuurne-Brussels-Kuurne, what do you make of this year's race?
Same as usual. So we have a kind of headwind going out towards Brussels, and then we have the small kind of group of climbs where things start to get interesting, and then things break to smithereens on the Quarmont, which is still a very long way from the ends, and it's usually just about when TV pictures start. So hopefully this year we'll be lucky enough to see the pictures from the Quarmont like we did last year. So it's a big group. A big group goes away. We're not talking, 3 riders here. We're talking 20, 25, because the sprinters who can't cope, they just ride tempo. The faster riders, the attackers, they will go and they will push themselves off the front. We'll get this 20, 25 man breakaway. The chase can't form because we still have a couple more kind of stinging climbs, and then with about 65k to go, it's flat. And that's when the peloton look around and go, right, who's not got a man up front, who's going to chase? And sometimes they bring them back, and sometimes they don't. It's the beauty of it. And because you've got such a large group up the road, they don't usually work particularly well together. Then we have possibility of echelons. It's a tailwind for the majority of the way home, which is good news for that large breakaway. And then even when the peloton get close, if the gap is 5 seconds, 10 seconds, it is still not over. We've seen that in the past years when the peloton are right there and they still can't make the catch. And the reason they can't make the catch is because in the breakaway, it's not, Androni riders, it's not Ayarual riders or Burgos. In the breakaway is Van Avermaet and Stuyven and Sagan in the past, and Benoit, Nason in the breakaway are the best in the world, so it's not easy.
Is it not Androni who just signed JJ Labato?
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, I'm happy that Labato's got a ride for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I just heard when you were making fun of Androni and Burgos, I thought that was quite harsh. I mean, if you put me or you out on the bike there, I mean, we'd be happy to make it to the Wolvenberg. 32k in.
No. I'm making the point that the quality of the breakaway is not your normal stage race breakaway where basically the peloton can do what they want with them. They can roll them over and tickle their tummies like a dog. They can't do that with the breakaway in Kuurne. That's what makes it so special. And then we had a lap circuit, which is open and windy and hard, and we can get late attacks, early attacks. It's a very good race because you just don't know if it's going to be a sprint or a breakaway success, like you said.
What do you make of the lack of Peter Sagan this Saturday and Sunday? Why is he not here?
I like it. I like no Peter Sagan. I mean, we all love Peter Sagan, but it's good to give other people a chance. Why is he not here? No idea, really. I suppose he's been here, he's done it. It's not the monuments, they're classic races, but if you win Paris-Roubaix, it's certainly more exciting than winning Kuurne-Brussels-Kuurne. I'm a little bit kind of surprised he's not racing, but yeah, he's a world champion. He can do what he wants.
He can definitely do what he wants. Look at the rest of the start list. It's the majority of today's race that is jumping over to tomorrow's. Who are we looking at to feature heavily in tomorrow's KBK race?
So basically, everybody who made the front selection today will be in like the breakaway tomorrow. That's kind of roughly how it's going to go. So in that breakaway of 25 riders, you'll have your Van Avermaets and your Lutsenkos and your, maybe not Valgren. He might be a little bit tired from today's exploits, but he'll probably be in there anyway. Your Valgrens, your possibly, I would imagine, Dylan van Baal, who had an unfortunate kind of mechanical at the wrong time. That strong breakaway, they will all be represented. And then the sprinters who are back in the bunch, and we do have a number of top sprinters. So we have Dylan Groenewegen, we've got Fernando Gaviria, we've got Sam Bennett, we've got Sasha Madolo. We've got some really good sprinters here. They just have to try and keep the gap to about a minute and then kind of go full guns blazing to try and bring them back. But I'm looking at it, and Jumbo, to me, look like the team with the most to gain from a kind of sprint. Their riders, Rusin, Janssen, very, very strong riders, but in a kind of elite breakaway, they're not going to win. I wouldn't be surprised if Jumbo keep all the riders together in the main peloton, and as soon as the climbing section's done, they hit the front, and they hit the front hard.
Do you reckon if it comes back to that scenario, into a sprint finish, that Groenewegen is the fastest rider here?
I think it's very close between him and Gaviria. And it depends what type of race Gaviria wants. Gaviria could well go in the breakaway. We could see Quickstep trying to boss it and put in big numbers in the break, like they did a number of years ago when Bonin won. I think they beat Hofland in the sprint. They could go for that. The only thing I'm looking at Quickstep is their team is weaker. They are resting a lot of the big stars from today, and Terpstra is there, but there's no Gilbert, there's no Stibar, so they definitely are a little bit weaker. It wouldn't surprise me to see Quickstep riding for the sprint as well, because Gaviria, you've got to be confident that Gaviria is going to win the sprint. He's got Richese. There is no, the fact that they bring Richese to this race kind of tells me what Quickstep are looking for. They're looking for sprint, because when you put Richese and Gaviria together, normally it ends in position number 1. Groenewegen comes in, he's got Janssen, he's got Rusin, so he's got his proper lead-out train. Bennett has, the kick-ass Bora lead-out train, which is really strong with Selig and Oss and people like that. So, your big sprinters all come with a good train, and that's kind of possibly pushing me towards sprint. But Van Avermaet, Nason, Stuyven, they won't be happy with sprint.
So because I was about to ask you that, because that's scenario 1 where it comes back to Gaviria versus Groenewegen. Scenario 2 with a breakaway, is that a reduced bunch sprint of like 30 riders, or are we going to see a solo breakaway a la Jasper Stuyven 2 years ago?
It'll be big breakaway of kind of 20 to 25, which will narrow down in the lap circuit to about kind of 5, 6, 7 riders. And then anything can happen. You could have your solo breakaway. The thing I'm looking today is Van Avermaet looked really strong, and we know from Oman already this season he is very, very strong. It didn't work out for him today, but there's no shame in losing when Astana had 3 riders in the front group. So Van Avermaet's looking around him, and he must be worried about Stuyven, because Stuyven has a very, very fast sprint. You saw Stuyven, I think he won the sprint from the peloton today. So Van Avermaet, I know he's quick, I know he backs himself, but I think he might be looking at Stuyven and thinking, right, I need rid of Stuyven. He will feel confident beating the other kind of breakaway, the other big favourites in sprints. You know, I think he would feel confident beating Vanmarcke and Nason and Benoot and riders like that. But Stuyven is the one who potentially could beat him in a sprint. So that's the one Van Avermaet will be keen to get rid of. And I think in that lap circuit, in that scenario, that is where we would see a Van Avermaet putting in a number of attacks to try and gradually wear down his opponents and kind of reduce the numbers to 5, 6.
What's it going to take for a good friend of the show, Ollie Nason, to win? Because today he was in a prime position. He had the legs. He just kept looking over his shoulder and go, come on, guys, let's do something.
I think he's on the verge. I mean, considering he's riding with a broken nose, that's, you know, there was no sign of that broken nose today, apart from his little strip across here like a 1990s football player. He is... Like, he's going to win big this season, no doubt. The thing I've noticed about him physically is he's looking, like, ripped. You know, he's really thin, but he's very, very muscular looking just now. You know, he's obviously spent a lot of hours in the gym this winter, kind of increasing that muscle mass, and that will help him in these types of races. We know he's got a fast sprint. You know, we just talked about Stuyven. Nason beat Stuyven in a sprint to win the Belgian Championship. So, yeah, I remember last season, he took a bit of flack in this race because they brought the breakaway back and then they had an intermediate sprint point that was worth like €3,000, and he went up against Stibar for it and they did a kind of full-on sprint and Nason won. And after the kind of sprint point, they were laughing and joking, and very, very soon after, the attack went and they missed it. And I know after the race he was frustrated with himself for making such a mistake. I don't think he'll make mistakes. He's a clever boy, and he will learn from everything he did last year, which was mainly positive and mainly fantastic things. And I think he'll have a big say in this race. I'm always fascinated to see the dynamic between him and Van Avermaet. Really good friends, training partners. They are happy to ride together. They are happy to work hard, reduce the bunch down to 2 or 3, and then they will just go at each other. I think that's always a fascinating battle. So when you see them together in a group, quite often they can work as a 2 rather than individual teammates.
Real question, David. Do you reckon if Sep Vanmarcke was on different equipment, he wouldn't have a mechanicals as often?
No. I've been looking back at Vanmarcke, and like he's won, I think it's 6 races in his career. Now, that's not an awful lot considering the talent that he's got. And the only big race he's won was Umloop back in like 2012 or 2012. So he's won a big race. Like, I'm never winning any races, so you know we're all kind of being relative here. He's only won 1 big race in his career. Considering the positions he's been in, considering the legs that he has, I find that amazing. Like, I find it almost hard to work out. Like, what is the issue? We know he's got bad luck. But it's more than that. What is stopping Vanmarcke from winning more big races? There has to be more to it. You know, put it this way: I wouldn't be putting any money on Vanmarcke to win a race because the stats don't lie. He just doesn't win.
If I was Sep Vanmarcke, I would do my very best to get the quick step floors. Like, I know how absurd that sounds, but there's just a winning mentality over there that I think would just suit Sep so well. Because he's been at Lotto, he's had issues with Bianchi. Today, with Cannondale, what was it, 80 kilometers in, he had another puncture. There's a picture of him changing or whatever it is. It's just like a bad omen over Sep Vanmarcke, and you obviously saw him on the Moor today. Nobody could follow him, not even Greg or Ollie. He was just that strong, and I've ridden that course. For normal mortal beings, the front wheel goes up when you're riding the Moor. It's difficult, but it's good fun. David, are you ready for the Kobayashi segment?
Oh, yeah.
This could be fun. As always, you get to go first out of fun, so the machine is ticking, it's going beep, bop, bop, and it's landed on Kiel Reinen from Trek Segafredo.
Oh, no. Not Kiel Reinen.
What's wrong with him?
Like, what's he called? He's like a self-styled neo-hippie or something.
That's Tyler Eisenhardt, isn't that him?
No. They're both kind of 2 peas in a pod. Kiel is he's part of the Spained #Spained group who really annoyed me a couple of years back. So I'll give you some background. So he's American. He comes over to stay in Girona with most of the other Americans and the Australians and the English speaking pro riders. So they live in the little Girona cycling bubble where there is no hassle to learn Spanish or kind of integrate with the locals. They just, surround themselves with other English speaking people. So him and TJ Van Garderen had a thing where Van Garderen gave an interview and he talked about getting Spained, which was like a derogatory comment about Spanish people and Spanish custom and culture, how he couldn't get things done on time, and when there's a problem in America, we throw money at it. That doesn't work over here, as though that was a bad thing. So Kilrainen was part of that group, this Spained group. I took great offence to that. He is cannon fodder, pack fodder. He's a pro rider, so obviously he's talented, more talented than me and motos like ourselves. He doesn't win anything. He was a kind of sprinter, now he's just a bottle carrier.
I've got the article you're referencing up on screen right now. If you want to go watch it, it's on Velo News, guys. Give it a read. Tweet your messages to David, whether you agree or you disagree with either Keel's or David's comments. I think it'd be really fun to get that conversation going again. Once again, this is the Kobayashi segment. Just out of the blue, picking the most perfect riders possible for both of us. Because, David, now it's my turn, and the machine is now going, and we both know this is not going to end well. Oh, Henrik Hausler! Oh, the man rejuvenated, back from the dead, finally looking like he's got some form again. And then he disappears, like something happened to Henrik, right? Did he crash? What was that happened to Henrik Hausler that just sidelined him? Because he had issues with, like, alcoholism and stuff, and was it also drug abuse, David?
No, I think it was just alcohol.
Oh, well, I'm not trying to stir anything up. It's just my mind is making connections.
He's had a number of injuries over the last 2 years.
He's been very good. My best Henrik Hausler memory is when he was the guy who lost to Ewan in the Nationals, right? Like 2 years ago. He came second behind him.
Well, he beat Ewan.
Oh, he beat. That was the memory then. Sorry again. This is even when I get a good rider, my mind is just putting 2 and 2 together and it's adding up to 3. So at least Henrik Hausler, he's back for Bahrain. I saw he's in this race, David, and if he was in his prime, if he was fit, honestly, he could do like top 5, top 7 here. He's kind of like a lesser Sasha Modolo, kind of.
I tell you what, though, I mean, Colbrelli, I was seriously impressed by him today. Like, we watched the race over in the Far East, and they obviously won Hatterdam. But before that, I think the stage before that, the Bahrain boys nailed the lead out. Like, Colbrelli didn't win the sprint, but he isn't going to against Cavendish and co. But they absolutely drilled it and nailed the lead out. He was fantastic today, despite losing positions because that crash I mentioned earlier. If it had gone another way, he could have won today. If that group had stayed together as a group, he would have won the sprint. He would have beat Trentin and co. I'm impressed. They don't look the best on paper, but they have one clear leader, and sometimes that can be hugely beneficial rather than these teams that have kind of got split leadership. They are all there to ride for Sonny, and he does love a tough day in the saddle.
For a second there, I thought you were going to say Luca Papernick and celebrating a lap before in Kuurne. That's one way to win, right? One way to get your sponsor name out there. Prediction time, David. We've run this on long enough. It's time to get a prediction out on. You were spot on for Omloop in regards to your bets. I think your preview was pretty close up there as well. What are you looking for here at Kuurne-Brussels-Kuurne?
I think it is between 2 men. It's between Van Avermaet and Gaviria. It's between breakaway and sprint. I think it does come down to that. We've spoken there about Stuyven and the likes being very, very strong. Yes, however, Van Avermaet will not get mugged the way he was mugged today. I think breakaway stays away and Van Avermaet takes the win.
See, I am going to go hipster once again because I'm feeling it. Arnaud Demar and FDJ is under the radar, bringing a pretty good squad here, David. And Demar's been getting better and better at cobblestones. We're getting closer and closer to Milan-San Remo, one of his massive goals. If it's a mass sprint, Demar can win. He's one of the Tour de France. If it's a breakaway, I reckon Demar will be there. He's no stranger to the Eau de Quaremont. Demar just ticks both boxes for me, and there's something about that squad. If it comes back to a lead out, they've got a pretty good squad, David. What do you think?
I actually wrote about him tonight. I see him going for the breakaway. you mentioned there, he's good in cobbles. He's no slouch. I think he'll get in that front group, but the problem is he will lack teammates. And on the flat, when the Belgians start to rip it, I think he won't be able to follow.
Ooh. We'll see what's going to happen. Kuurne-Brussels-Kuurne is tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. What's the next preview on the chopping block?
I think it is the one and only Strada Bianchi, which is next Saturday.
See, I was supposed to be doing that Sportive. Then I looked at it and they only offer the ladies. The ladies route for that. And yeah, I will be coming back to Strada Bianchi because that's one of the routes I definitely want to try because it's so unique. That and Trobro-Lyon. Don't miss the race, don't miss the preview. We'll be doing that very soon. David, thank you so much. And you know what? We need to get more pros on because this is like a blessing.
Certainly is.